see, it's really very, very contaminated. They make the necessities inside and they drink.
Bitcoin saved lives.
What if the very thing meant to sustain you was slowly poisoning you? This Peruvian town is poor and remote, but its most pressing issue isn't poverty, it's the lack of clean, safe drinking water. The Amazonian rivers surrounding the town should be lifelines for the local community. Instead, they are lethal.
Hello from Juan Guerra, which is a jungle community with these Bitcoin signs everywhere. Here, the big issue they're trying to solve is regarding water. Yeah, it's that poor.
Crude oil, industrial metals, toxic agricultural chemicals, and even fecal waste contaminate the water. There is a grim irony. In a region so rich in water, there isn't a drop to drink. This is Peru. Well, that's what the tourist board would have you think. But Peru's colourful mountains cast a dark shadow. This is a country of stark socioeconomic divide. This Latin American nation of 34 million people has experienced significant economic growth in recent years. Yet, its Gini coefficient runs high. Wealth inequality is severe. Many Peruvians struggle with basic needs like shelter, shoes, and healthcare. And as with many developing nations, a small yet ultra-wealthy caste exerts power and influence over the less fortunate. In this video, we will analyse how some governmental actions have deprived a small Peruvian jungle town of the most basic resource for survival: water. And we'll explore how a new form of currency may hold the potential to tackle corruption and water pollution. Big statement, I know. This is Bitcoin in Peru's high Amazon. Tap water is actually a severe health hazard in rural areas of Peru, particularly in its jungle regions. In Peru's high Amazon region lies Juan Guerra, a small yet humid village 10 kilometers south of Tarapoto, the most populous city in the jungle province, complete with its own domestic airport that are used. Now, wealthier residents buy bottled water, but this isn't an option for most people. They have no choice but to drink foul tap water, knowingly poisoning themselves. Naturally, the rich don't want people to know this, but surely the local government should do something about this. When locals protested, demanding clean water, the government responded with promises, with investments, and even there was some action. This is Pedro. He manages a small water filtration plant in Juan Guerra. The government did invest in a new water treatment plant, but the project was shelved, leaving Tarapoto and Juan Guerra with leaking pipes losing nearly half their water. It's a symptom of Peru's chronic neglect and corruption, highlighted by former President Alejandro Toledo, who is now in prison. Pedro was already working on a smaller scale solution, but with limited resources, he could only do so much. That changed when an NGO called Motiv stepped in.
Entonces Motiv dice, yo les ayudo a invertir y que esas familias les puedan pagar a través de Bitcoin.
The process is simple but effective. Coarse filtration removes larger contaminants like twigs and insects. Fine filtration catches smaller debris and microparticles. UV sterilization eliminates harmful microbes, making the water safe to drink. The plant now produces 1,200 litres of clean water per day, and demand is growing. Pedro hopes to expand output to 2,000 or even 4,000 litres daily. But there's a twist. This is not just a humanitarian project. It's also an experiment in Bitcoin adoption. Motiv, a Bitcoin-powered NGO, saw an opportunity.
Yo escuché el Bitcoin de una forma no positiva, de una forma negativa. Para mí era algo nuevo que Valentín me plantea de esta forma. ¿Por qué no utilizamos el Bitcoin con el tema del agua, con el tema de reforzamiento académico?
They provided funding in Bitcoin to help expand the filtration plant. They then introduced locals to Bitcoin payments, reducing corruption risks and cutting out middlemen. It's what Bitcoin's supposed to do, after all.
Ahora lo veo como un medio más donde familias pueden lograr cosas que comúnmente no se logra con los soles.
They integrated what's known as a Bitcoin circular economy, ensuring funds stay within the community. Pedro explains that 70% of the water is given away for free, while 30% is sold at low cost to cover expenses. And locals can help to build up savings in a currency that cannot be manipulated by corrupt officials.
Yeah, can I deliver some water? There's water behind. So the water that's been filtered is being delivered to a family and they're about to pay for their water in Bitcoin.
Some families pay for water using Bitcoin earned from attending classes at the local church. Others receive Bitcoin for work in community projects.
Muchas familias de acá no tienen internet. El Motiv también va a ayudar también a las madres que no tienen internet también.
So behind me, a lady who lives in this house is paying for a bottle of water delivered by the Motiv Bitcoin guys on the back of their water motor taxis. It's interesting though because the lady doesn't have internet, well, she doesn't have a roof or shoes either, but there's no internet here, and so sometimes the guys have to provide a hotspot so they can pay in Bitcoin. And now they're using the Blink app to send the sats from one to the other. Now,
this isn't a perfect sort of circular Bitcoin economy just yet, but it is a start. We spoke with this one lady who receives 20 soles, which is about $5 in Bitcoin for sewing classes. She then spends that Bitcoin at a local market where the vendors also take Bitcoin. She's already completed transactions with 8 different people, which is something unimaginable just months ago. And remember, this is a more secure, a cheaper, and a faster way to transact than using cash. Another woman showed us a common problem. Her phone's cracked screen made it hard to scan QR codes, and Bitcoin Lightning lives with QR codes. However, with what's called a Lightning address, she could still send Bitcoin, proving that there are Bitcoin solutions that exist.
So behind me they're making a Bitcoin transaction, but usually you'd scan a QR code. The lady's phone is cracked, she can't afford to buy a new one. So what they're doing is setting up a Bitcoin address instead. It's like an email address, but you can send a Bitcoin to it over the Lightning network. And she was a bit frustrated about it, and now she's realised that, I can just use the address in future.
Notwithstanding, fiat, or government money, which in Peru is called the Peruvian sol, is still the dominant currency. We found one merchant who helped Peruvians to cash out.
Transferimos el Bitcoin, lo convierto a efectivo. Le transferimos a una cuenta del pastor. Las otras personas fuera de la iglesia no están acostumbradas.
No está, yo no puedo comprar una tienda con ese Bitcoin. Ni tarapoto, ni acá.
Now, since I visited Peru in late 2023, I'm so sorry, these videos take forever to bring together. I was excited to follow up on both the water treatment project and the growth of the Bitcoin circular economy. So I reached out to Vali, the co-founder of Motiv. How circular is the economy? Would you say it's evolved much as a town?
First of all, the good news is the project is still going. The bad news is it's the same number. We have 105 family. Unfortunately, we couldn't get bigger. I thought that we can drill and have more water and with a different system, but we still are waiting the machines and everything.
Do they still have the classes? Like, are they still learning about English in exchange for Bitcoin? How does it work?
Yes, the classes for the kids are still going. The only thing that we had kind of an issue was the sewing class. The couple, Pedro and his wife, they went to Holland, so no one was replacing her. And that was kind of a step back with the entrepreneurship program. Juan Guerra, like I said, didn't involve much. And that's because the authorities, they don't do nothing for that. And you have new elections. So you now in Juan Guerra, you find promises. About the Bitcoin, it's kind of the same, unfortunately. But
well, that's quite good. The good thing is that it is the same. It hasn't, look at El Salvador, right? El Salvador, the usage, you could argue it's increased in some places, but in other places it started and it stopped and it got worse.
When I talk to you I talk as a leader. When I give clean water to 105 families, I'm thinking how many other families are with not clean water, because this is kind of an emergency, and I would love to have a medical program to do tests on the kids to see how much metals they have in the bodies or something. This is a real situation with the water. It's not about, okay, let's have some, adoption. Bitcoin save lives.
The government failed this jungle town. Corrupt officials stole funds meant for clean water. But the community, empowered by Bitcoin, stepped in. NGOs like Motiv aren't just providing aid, they're equipping people with tools for independence, whether it's health in the form of safe drinking water, or education in the form of skills and financial literacy, or finance with a bank in their pocket. I was a little disappointed to hear that the water filtration Bitcoin project has not grown over the past 18 months, especially given that, as Vali says, Bitcoin saves lives in Juan Guerra. However, 105 families do get access to clean water with Bitcoin, which is still rather remarkable given just how hard it is to get things done in the jungle and with a corrupt local government. As for Motiv, well, its projects across Peru continue to spread, and you can follow these rather heart-lifting stories on Twitter and Instagram. Motiv is a new wave of NGOs using Bitcoin to disperse funds. I'm actually following another NGO very soon in East Africa, so please subscribe for that. Now, if you are curious to learn more about Bitcoin, please check out Plan B Network, my wonderful show sponsor. Hit the like button so more people see just how useful Bitcoin is, and click the above link for another deep dive into Bitcoin around the world. Cheers.